champion. Make some noise for Preston Perez in the Toxic. Real quick, up and down season, right? We started the first 2 weeks of January. Thanks, Tiny. This is a very heavy jersey. Tiny, 6'8". Up and down year, right? The first 2 weeks of January, you took the points lead, never looked back. And then all of a sudden, week 3, you dropped off the cliff. Dropped down to 5th place in points, and you had to fight back against
it's okay, guys. I got my life.
Competitors, but you did.
Oh, good. We're
Earlier this
covered.
afternoon, you locked it in. How cool is it to be the Monster Mashers All-Star Champion?
Hey, you know what, Chuck? I didn't really have anything prepared for this. You know, all I really have to say is grew up a fan, always wanted to do this my whole life, and I never saw a points champion in the cards, and it's really neat. And all I gotta do is just show my gratitude. You know, I say it all the time. I just have to thank the Synder family. You know, I said earlier, I've had a bucket list of dreams I wanted to accomplish. I've accomplished a lot, but it seems like a giant list of them has just happened driving for these guys, and I really couldn't have done it without them. It's a little bit bittersweet chapter for the ending, driving this truck, but you know what? It's been awesome. I don't regret anything. It has been literally a blast driving for that company.
Let's talk about the chapters hitting the Synder family after 20 years of Monster Truck and good Cory, the Illuminator, your teammate, but his dad stepping away from Monster before retiring in about, 5 hours, right? So that makes you essentially a free agent. First time in Monster Truck history. You're going to lock up the championship for the Synder family and then become a free agent and you're off on your own. What's the future hold for Preston Perez, the Tour champion?
I'm not slowing down, you know, I'm going to take the rest of this month off, but got a new truck I'm piloting. It's going to be the Culture Shock Monster Truck, and we're going to kick it off, hit it hard in May, and don't plan on slowing down. But you know what, tonight, it's about Toxic, sending things out. We got Bullshot in the house, too, sponsor, and you know, we're just going to tear it up, leave it all out on the track. We got nothing to lose.
And of course, the Synder family has been back to you since day one. Again, big shoes to fill. Cory tore it up in the Toxic Monster Truck for years. On the Monster Master Tour, you come in. Again, the standard is high, the tone is high. They call you the Black and Green Destruction Machine for a reason.
Oh yeah, you know, it's going to be hard getting used to not being in this Toxic truck, you know. There's such an awesome name behind it. You know, Cory and Jay, they really built this name up and put it on the map and allowed me to continue to put it on the map. And, you know, just like that, man, you said about 5 hours, team's going to retire, and we just got to show up and show out tonight. That's exactly what's going to happen.
All right, so we do have a qualifying draw. This is a checkered flag. It looks like you got number 2. So you're going to go number 2 in qualifying, but I believe you have 6 in best trips. So you're going to go last in best trip and in freestyle. But how different is it to go number 2 in qualifying compared to what last in the other competition?
You know, it doesn't make too much of a difference. When you go last, you have a chance to watch others. Go out there, you know, get a feel for the track. If they make mistakes, maybe you can try to learn and not make the same mistake. But, you know, we wrap this thing up, we got the championship, and we're just going to go have fun. It doesn't matter what happens.
So there you go, Preston Perez of the Toxic. Again, I want to hear you guys scream on the count of 3 for the Toxic Monster Truck. 1, 2, 3! Michigan. And I want to see everyone get your paws up. Let's show them their paws like she's doing right now. Get loud and proud for the Ice Queen, Kylie Pitt, Frostbite. Let's get ready to rumble. This fighter worked his way up from crew chief into the driver's seat of a brand new Monster Masher for the 2025 campaign. And this truck is a tribute to the team owner who started his first business delivering hay in a 76 Ford to local farmers, then eventually growing the business into a nationwide trucking empire. This fighter is ready to knock out the competition. Fighting out of the blue corner in the 76 Ford from Blaine, Minnesota. Get your pounds up for Brett Falvey, the Haymaker! For his laid-back vibes until he straps the helmet on and becomes one of the wildest and most unpredictable drivers behind the wheel. It's a brand new monster masher for the 2025 campaign, and he's making old school cool in a 1974 from Middleville, Michigan. Let's get fishy with it and ride the wave with Elliot Miller, High Tide! Kylie, this is Monster Truck. Representing the name of one of the first female Monster Truck drivers in the 1990s. She is ready to beat up on the boys. In a beautiful 26 Chevy Silverado from the Lone Star State, Mount Pleasant, Texas. Ladies, I want to hear you scream for the underdog. Rising star in the monster truck world as he's piloted over 10 different monster trucks for teams across the globe. Proudly sponsored by Bull Sky Cleaning Products, it is the Black and Green Destruction Machine. He's the 2025 Monster Masher Series champion from Spokane, Washington. Let's get loud and proud from Preston Perez, Texas. The second generation all-star with him and his dad a combined 25 years of monster trucking. Tonight is special, tonight is the final night. This legendary monster truck driver will be retiring after the show. He's piloting the original glow-in-the-dark monster truck. It's a sick 2024 Ford Super Duty from Bethesda, Maryland. Give it up for Cory Snyder, Illuminator. It's not toxic into the bull stop victory lane as the Monster Master champion.
Oh, you know, it's awesome. And hey, that bull stop flag right there, it's still flying pretty. You know, that's just the beginning, just the best trick. We still got a lot more action. We weren't lying to you when we said we were going to rip it up here tonight.
Dude, team owner was just taking a look at the truck. He's still taking a look at the truck. I mean, not only is there body damage, there could be some other internal or external damage on that thing. You guys are going to quick turnaround, qualify coming up next. Monster truck racing, and then we still have freestyle. All you the classic green destruction machine for a reason.
Yeah, you know, obviously they don't want to do that on purpose. Looking forward to being out of the state, but you know, I'm pretty sure it's all cosmetic. I think we'll be good to go for qualifying.
You have a best trick trophy, and what's cool about the Monster Master series, what's cool about the Toxic Team and Full Stop, is you never take these trophies home, you always give them away.
Oh yeah, you know what? Got that big tour championship trophy presented earlier. You know, I don't need one of these things. I'd rather give this away to the loudest screaming Toxic fan here tonight. So let me hear you.
There you go, he's on. it's okay. The monster truck out. The monster truck is probably done for the night. That means you're just going to step it up. You're going to ramp up even more.
Well, I got texted last night. Go out there one day and win everything you can.
Well, winning everything you can. You just picked up the racing trophy. You hate taking these things home. You want to give it away?
I think so. But you Haymaker fan, don't
He's looking for a Haymaker.